Can you tell me about yourself?
Okay, my name is Praveen Kumar, and yeah, I have 3 years of experience in the front-end technologies, and I have done multiple projects and work on multiple technologies like React Native. Also worked on TypeScript, Redux, and Firebase tools like analytics and messaging part of Firebase. Also worked on notification part, and I implemented Google Maps and Sentry tool in my various applications. So yeah, these things I have done in my previous experience. And recently, I have worked on a project that was related to renting things, and there I implemented renting part of like the flow of data and how things will going on, how customer will get a quotation and cart view cart, also adding cart items in cart, applying coupons and various coupons available for customers according to customer type, like new customer or older customer or regular customer. So these things I have done. And also I did an application where I implement local like offline features in my application, so that I can provide a seamless experience to the user in offline mode. And there I implement SQLite DB in my local, also handling logs and downloading content. Yeah, so these some features I implemented in my previous application, and the role and responsibility were to handling new feature implementations and bug fixing, planning tasks, and also tracking the progress of tasks. And I mentor my juniors in who are new joinees or have less experience or with experience joined our product recently. So I give them training about product architecture and how we manage things in our application, and how we think working culture and etc. So I have done these responsibilities in my last company.
Okay, let's go for JavaScript first.
Okay, sure.
So what is temporal dead zone?
Okay, so temporal dead zone is the like time period in which when our JavaScript start executing the script file of an JavaScript. So it is start firstly it hosts all the functions and where variables which is defined by where. Also it consider declared variables, but it did not put in actual memory before declaration. So after start hosting and till declaration, it put all the let and const defined variables in temporal depth. So before, if we try to access these variables before initialization, so we will get reference error.
Okay, what is event loop in JavaScript?
Okay, so event loop is responsible to handle the task. Like in some cases, we see JavaScript works like asynchronous way. So on that time, like we have some delayed tasks like getting data from backend side, or we are using timers in our code. So it put these callbacks and methods which is called inside of those things. So put these things in and different stack, that is web API, and then it use a callback queue. So it works like way when that task is completed. Like I'm just taking an example of timeout, set timeout. So I put 2 seconds timer on set timeout, and the JavaScript start executing that function, and it parked that set timeout function in call stack, and sorry in web API stack. And when it completes 2 second timer, then event loop is the responsible person who check the which task has completed its time duration or it get result. So it pick that task and push it in callback queue, and then it checks if callback main stack is empty. Then it checks the micro task queue is empty. Then it pick one task from callback queue and it puts in the main stack. So event loop is responsible to handle these asynchronous behavior of our JavaScript.
Okay. What is immediate invoke function in JavaScript?
Okay, so immediate invoke function are those functions, like it is a way to defining a function where we use parenthesis, and after we wrap our whole function in parenthesis, and after that we also use an empty parenthesis, or it depends, like our method is our function needs the parameters, so we define parameters there, like it is calling of a function, so it invokes a function instantly where it defines. So it is like mainly it one time execution function we can define here, like initialization of any third party library, or creation of context, creation of any context or something, we can define there, which is only just one time task.
Okay. What is this keyword in JavaScript?
Okay, so these keywords are like mainly used to defining object reference. Like I am using an function. Oh, sorry, I am defining an object. There is first name, last name, address, and there is a method greet. So in greet method, I'm using first name as a. I want to use that first name in my greet function. So I have to go through, like I am taking that object name as a person, or like employee. So I have to define like employee dot name, employee dot first name, say hello, kind of console there. So this way, so this return us the response, this return us the context of that object, like we can access that object using this.
Okay. What is garbage collection?
Okay. So garbage collection, in JavaScript, it is like removing the unused or unreferenced things from our memory, so that our execution and our like memory load reduced according to our use. Like if we collect too much garbage, like that code is not usable, that code reference is not usable currently in our code base or execution. So storing those things, that will reduce low performance, that will go to take us on low performance way. So garbage collection is happen automatically in our JS, but in other language, in C and in I think C and C++, these language, on these language we have to handle these things by, like by itself, sorry, handle by our code, and we have to put null on those reference, like we have to clean those reference, so that it cleaned up from our execution context. So yeah, these things happen and handled by our JavaScript by default and automatic.
Okay. What is reduce method?
Okay, so reduce method in an array, which accept two things. First is an callback function, and second one is initial value. So and it returns a single value after accumulating all the values in a single form.
Can you give me any example you have used?
So reduce in my project. Give me one
Yes.
second. Actually, yeah, I used reduce in my application for grouping. Like I have multiple kinds of post, and post kind means feed, and I want to categorize them. And how I want to categorize, like there are an specific tags we are defining with our every post. So I used reduce to do this, and it returns me object where groups defined, and in group there is assigned array, and in array I get post IDs. So in this way I use this reduce in my application.
Okay. What is the difference between arrow function and a normal function?
Okay, so arrow function and normal function have some differences. First is it's a concise way, like a precise way to defining a function, and without, if it's one liner, so in arrow function we don't need to write any return keyword to return values. It's automatically return the values on variables, but in our traditional function we have to write this. And next difference is this, we have to bind this in our traditional functions sometimes, because it lost the context of where it calls. But in arrow function we don't need to do this because they handle this keyword by itself where it calls. It can act. There is no need to this keyword there. And third one is hosting. If we use traditional function, it will be hosted on the top of everything, so you can access those functions before its declaration. And in arrow function you cannot do this, like it you have to first define, then you can access the arrow function.
Okay. What is slice and splice method?
Okay, slice and splice. So slice method of an array is works like way. If you want to generate an sub array of any array, then you can use slice method. It will create a new array of on a particular part of array where this method takes two parameter. First is the starting point, second one is end point. Both are optional. You can like put anyone. And splice works like way you can modify the actual array which is already defined. So you can modify that actual array. It accepts three parameters. First one is starting point. Second one is how much items you want to delete. Third one is optional if you want to add some items there.
Okay. What is instance of in JavaScript?
Okay, so instance of a method in JavaScript which returns mainly the type of any data, like from which type it belongs. We can check that using instance of.
Okay. Okay. What is super method?
Okay, so super method, got it. So super method works the constructor of its parent class. Like it in we can pass method. Sorry, we can pass the parameters which needs in our parents class to initialize that, and we can also access the methods of parent class using super method.
Okay. Let's go for the React. What is
Mhm.
virtual DOM?
Okay, so virtual DOM is the blueprint of our real DOM, and it is very lightweighted. And React use it to update our real DOM. So the process is this way. Firstly, React after any update, React creates a new virtual DOM, and then it check what is the difference in older virtual DOM and new virtual DOM. And after finding that difference, it updates only that part of our real DOM. And this whole method calls reconciliation, I think.
Okay. What is life cycle in React?
Okay, so yeah, so life cycle in React is like majorly we can define it in three parts. So first is mounting, second one is updation, and third one is unmounting. So life cycle handled, like if you want to mimic any life cycle in our functional components, then there is a hook that is use effect, and using use effect you can mimic all the life cycle methods in our functional component.
Okay. What is cleanup function?
Okay, so cleanup function. Great. So cleanup function works to clean up states. Like it is majorly used for doing things which we want to clean after like before unmounting of the component. So we can write it in our use effect using return method, and there we can clean up our event listeners and timers so that we did not lead a memory leak issue.
Okay. What is high order component?
Okay, so higher order components are the components which accept a component as a parameter and return a new component.
Can you give me any example you have used in your project?
Okay, yeah, so many times I use this in my application. Like I create a wrapper or any container in my application as a component, and it accepts an children component as a parameter and use that children component in it inside of its return, and it returns a new wrapper component.
Okay. Okay. What is use memo and use callback?
Okay, so use memo and use callback both are used for memoizing our functions. Yeah, so the difference is on both of them is use memo is used to memoizing the function result, and it returns same result without calculating the whole things again. if it gets same parameter. And second thing, use callback will return the same function reference until it did not get changed reference, can say.
Okay, okay. Have you worked with Redux?
Yeah, I worked on Redux.
Can you tell me the flow of Redux?
Okay, so the main flow of Redux is it has a store where it stores all the values and access the values from there, and it has action and reducer which help us to update the value in store, and store is immutable, so we cannot change directly any value on store. We have to go through a flow. That is, first we will call and we will dispatch an action, then we will go this action will go on our reducer, and reducer will get the payload like what we want to update, and after that it will update the value according to payload on store, and all the values will populated on global level.
Okay. Have you worked with any testing library?
Yeah, so in testing library I only use jest to test.
Okay. What is snapshot testing?
So snapshot testing is mainly for our UI components, and in UI component it creates a snapshot of our whole code, and when we write all test cases, and first time when we run it, store all the snapshot, and after that it check the values, and it run test cases over there, and if you want to update that snapshot, so we have their facility like we introduce a new functionality in our UI part or introduce a new components, so we can update that.
Okay. How you test the API call?
Okay, so if I want to test the API call, then I will mock, like I am using Exos for that. If I want to mock my API call, then I will use just.mock, and where I will mock Exos, and using Exos, I will put some resolved value, and that resolved value will match my function call, and then this way I will check my test. Okay, like I will write my test case for that.
Okay. What is to be in document?
Okay, so this is related to testing. So to be document is something if we want to check any keyword or any keyword or some string in our snapshot, then we can use dot to be in our test case, and it will return true or false if that is available or not regarding to that.
Okay. How you test the button click?
So testing a button click, I will render I will first render that button in my test case, and then I will use a fire event on the button, and then I will check for the desired result.
Okay. Okay. One last question. How you optimize the performance of a React application?
Okay. So if I'm working on React, then there are multiple ways which I can use to optimize my application performance. First thing, I will check my web vitals of my application page, and second thing, I will check about re-rendering part, and is that optimized or not. If that is not, then I will optimize using React.memo, use callback, and use memo. So these things I can done. And third thing, I will go through with dynamic images according to screen quality. Like depends on DPIs for different devices have different dimensions and DPIs. So I will use dynamic image, and also I will use SVGs to render these icons very easily. Second thing, I will do one more thing. I will divide my heavy page in small components so that they render itself easily, like loading will be fast and everything. Third thing, I will use lazy loading and dynamic import in my application so that it will ensure that if my components and website have heavy and complex UIs, so it will ensure they all didn't load in one go, and this way it will reduce loading time. And there are two more things what I can do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Praveen.
we can.
Okay. That's all from my end.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Praveen.
Thank you.
Thank you.